Well, good morning. We'll call to order the MAPS 3 Citizens Advisory Board meeting for October the 24th, 2019. It appears that we have a quorum. Do you agree, Counselor? All right, thank you. You have been furnished with copies of the minutes of our previous meeting of September the 26th. Are there any corrections or additions?
Move approval. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The minutes are approved. David, you have the revenue and expenditure report?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have in your packet the MAPS 3 revenue and expenditure report for the period ending September 30th, 2019. On the revenue side for the month, you have $460,097. For the fiscal year, $1,390,338, and total $832,318,523. On the expenditure side for the month, $13,144,983. Fiscal year, $22,534,729, and total expenditures of $602,115,482. You also have your budget and obligations report in your packet, and I'll try to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions for David? Discussion? Shall we receive it? Been moved and seconded that we receive the revenue and expenditure report and the budget and obligation report as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is received. Item 4, David.
Item 4 is recommend a resolution ratifying and approving addenda numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4, MAPS 3 Bennett Event Center improvements, awarding contract to Shiloh Enterprises Incorporated, $1,104,000, and approving contract and bonds project M3-F002G. So this is an additional project at the Bennett Event Center. It's still within the original budget amount. It's for some things that the original contractor did not complete, and we backed out of his contract, and then there's some additional items out there, some things as they went into service that they realized they would like to have had, and some additions. So the fairgrounds did not have a quorum, but it comes with the recommendation from those that were there.
Great. Any comments, Bob?
No, these are well-intended, necessary improvements to the Blatt Center, so I would move approval of the resolution.
Is there a second? Second. Been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution ratifying and approving the addenda as shown in item 4. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Item 5, David.
Item 5 is recommend a resolution approving assignment of landscape architectural services contract from Hargraves Associates to Hargraves Jones Landscape Architecture DPC MAPS 3 Park Project M3-P006. So I'm sure all of you remember Mary Margaret Jones, who's been involved with the park. She has now become a principal in the firm, and they've changed the firm name. So this is to assign their design contract to the new firm. And this comes with a recommendation from the subcommittee.
So no changes. It's just to recognize their new name.
That's right.
I'd move the resolution.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Sounds like she's moving up with the world.
I guess.
All right. Item 6.
Item 6 is recommend a resolution waiving consultant selection procedures and approving engineering services contract to Johnson & Associates, MAPS 3 Scissortail Lower Park Duct Bank Design, $30,000, project M3-P017. Johnson & Associates is the engineer that is working with Hargraves on the park. We have some utilities in order to expedite the relocation of the utilities and to conserve space in that area to get them closer without doing open trenches. We've opted to do a duct bank. And it made sense to just have Johnson, who's already got a lot of history in that area, to go ahead and do this project. So we're asking that we waive the consultant selection procedures and award this contract to them.
Been moved and seconded that we approve item 6. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. Shall we move to item 7?
Yes, sir. Item 7 is recommend resolution approving the allocation of $1 million from excess collections and/or interest from the Oklahoma City Capital Improvement Sales Tax Fund, MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center Number 2, Additional Improvements, Project M3-H003C. Kristen Hersom is the operator for the Pete White Center, and I'd like to invite her up to give you a short presentation to explain this item.
Welcome.
Hello, good morning. Thank you guys so much for letting us come and tell you what's going on at our center, and thank you for all the work that you are doing and have done to make sure that these centers happen. Our seniors are so grateful to have this kind of center in their area. So what we are hoping to do right now, our locker room sizes are very small for the facility, and as we continue to grow, it is kind of becoming troublesome. So right now we have about 1,200 members and growing, and weekly we can have anywhere from kind of 1,100, 1,200 visits, and that's just visits to the center. We currently kind of are teetering around 365 people coming in weekly just to use the pool. And so with that and about the 500 others that come in to do our water aerobics classes, which are our biggest attended group exercise class that we have about 20 of those per week, with about 25 to 35 in attendance in each of those classes. So when you get 25, maybe 20 women, 20 men coming out of the pool and funneling into the locker rooms that are about 560 square feet, it is somewhat like herding cattle into their chutes. It definitely has posed a pretty big problem. They are hanging out in the pool for a little bit and taking turns to get into the locker room because of the size. So we have, like I said, about 560 square feet. We have one changing area with 28 half-size lockers, barely enough room to fit their shoes in. They're definitely not deep enough. We have 2 smaller changing stalls and 3 showers, and that is similar in the men's. There's just a few square feet smaller, but it does pose a problem whenever our members are trying to get out of the pool, and also kind of trying to accommodate the other members that are in the facility trying to use the locker room as well. So here is the men's locker room. Like I said, very similar, about 560 square feet. So we are asking for $1 million in expansion of the men's and women's locker rooms. It'll cover the expansion and renovation of the locker rooms, the design fees, administrative fees, the art allowance, and any other costs that might arise. On the next slide, this is our current floor plan. The men's there at the top in blue and the women's in yellow. What we're looking to do is take that south exterior wall and push it down to be even with the exterior wall of the pool, adding about 800 square feet to the locker room area. So this is what we're looking at doing. And that is it. Any questions?
I guess the question I have is how we arrived at $1 million. Did we enlist the services of an architect, a contractor, an engineer? Why is it not $800,000 or $1.2 million or an uneven number that's the result of people taking a look at this?
Sure. I can answer that, Councilman. My staff started the process and put together a plan and an estimate, and then we sent it to AGG, and they looked at it also. We're looking at really about $650,000 with, as it is, and everything we can think of. But in order to not have to come back for another $5,000 or something like that, I bumped it up. And also knowing that it's an existing building, and at the time we did the estimate, we didn't know every single pipe and every single wire that goes through that area that might have to get rerouted. So that's why I bumped it up to $1 million. I think it'll come in more around the $650 amount, and if you're more comfortable with backing that down, that's fine. like I said, I just rounded it up so I didn't have to come back.
I just want to make sure somebody looked at it.
It has been looked
from
at.
staff and how we arrived at that number.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question, sort of a follow-up to Councilman Stone's cipher, and it's more a matter of form rather than substance. It sounds like these changes are desperately needed, and I would certainly favor making them. I think it's a question of whether this resolution, as broadly worded and open-ended it is, whether we ought to approve a resolution of this form as opposed to being specific, that these funds are being allocated to expansion of the locker room. So we know specifically what those funds are addressed to, as opposed to just we're allocating $1 million to the center to make improvements. And again, I have no objection whatsoever to the idea of doing those improvements. It's a question of whether the resolution ought to be more specific as to how we're using those funds, so the public knows what those funds are being used for.
If you're more comfortable with adding after the last paragraph there where it says Senior Health and Wellness Center, number 2, additional improvements, we could add to the locker rooms.
Counselor?
Mr. Chairman, trustees, another way you could address it, David is correct. You could address it by adding additional language, or you could also make a reference to the plan and the presentation and say to achieve the concepts and design in the presentation.
I'm comfortable with that, just so long as we have a public record of what those funds are being expended for. The resolution on its face doesn't tell anybody anything about where the funds are being allocated, so I'd be more comfortable, and if we can do it by reference to the presentation here today, I'm comfortable with that. The record's complete.
Michael?
Yeah, that, of course, seems reasonable because that is it. I just want to say a couple of thoughts. These were not designed in terms of the fitting, the locker rooms were not designed as they probably should have been, and we didn't know that going in. We listened to our consultants at the time, and as we know from Healthy Living experience coming to us, a big part of their expansion was about this same issue. The good news is, of course, we know it going into 3 and 4, and so the mistake will not be made again. But it's unfortunate that this has happened, of course, but as can be seen, I think the merits speak for themselves. And as far as the dollar amount, that makes sense to me, what you guys are saying.
One of the discussions yesterday also at the subcommittee meeting was in the future that we make the locker rooms bigger, and that is definitely on our list of things to consider. As Mr. Dover said, with the senior consultants that we used, it was indicated that in most places seniors don't change at the centers. They come ready to work out and they leave, but that doesn't seem to be the case here in Oklahoma City.
Well, maybe it's because we have this water feature that doesn't permit that, and that seems to be one of the most popular things they're doing. And that's a good result, isn't it?
Yes.
That we have so many people want to do that. Michael, you're one of those that go down there, right?
As a matter of fact, I am, and I did ask before yesterday's subcommittee meeting if there was a conflict here and should I leave the room and discuss, and I was told because I don't have a fiduciary interest in the facility, it was okay for me to be an advocate. But yeah, as well as David, I might add, is a member, so I think we'll all be happy to have a little bit more room. But it is amazing watching what happens is that in these classes that people leave early, people stay later, I know, than they would like to, just because they're waiting for the opportunity for the exam room, the locker room to get empty a little bit. You know, in each case, there's one bench in those locker rooms that's a 5-foot long bench. Think about that. 22, 23 women coming in. There's one bench in it. So this will be great. Thank you.
May I make one more comment? I think just because this is going to go up to the city council, we ought to at least reference this presentation or put in the language that David, because then the city council is going to say, what's this for, and they may send it back. And so I think it would be, Bob, if you want to make an amendment to the resolution, if that's appropriate.
Yeah, well, I think we have
We didn't have a second yet.
We don't have a second yet.
No, I would move to amend the motion to add a sentence that the proceeds of this $1 million will be allocated to expansion of the men's and women's locker rooms at Wellness Center 2.
Okay, now, Zane, let's make sure we're on track here, because I have a couple of questions I want to ask too. Zane, you made a motion.
No.
You didn't.
Mike made the motion, and it was seconded, but Bob...
I move to amend. I think if the original movement accepts the amendment, then that becomes the motion on the table.
And you agree? Yes. All right, so we have a motion made and seconded. Am I correct? Yes. Okay, is there further discussion? Yes, I have a couple of questions. I'm interested, David, in you explaining to us the money. As I'm reading this, we're saying it's coming out of the excess funds that we have available. And so my question is, does that presuppose that the budget and the contingency portion of the budget for Wellness Center number 2 has already been expended? So they have zero money left in the original budget.
There's a small amount of money. I think there's $14,000 still in their account.
Okay. Well, I think this is good news that it's being used. So I'm excited that it's being used as it is, and I think this is a great thing to do. I just say again, we are continuing to piecemeal money from the excess funds, and we have many, many requests for those funds. I see this as a great deed, so I'm not negative about this at all. I just point out, as we continue to do this, a day is coming when we're going to be considering a lot of other requests for excess money. But with that comment, we have a motion and a second. Zane.
I have one more along those lines. David, if this does come in, like you said, at $600,000 or $700,000, what will happen to the excess fund?
I would try and bring it back and submit it back into the account, as so to speak. Because actually, with this new language, there's no choice but to bring it back. I think that was the purpose.
Yes.
So that would mean if the bids come in at $650,000 and we pass this resolution, then that wouldn't authorize, well, let's think of some other things we might do with the other $350,000.
That's right.
That's what we're trying to avoid. Am I right about that? All right.
I'm sorry, but this will be based not on the bids, but after you never know what happens.
Yeah.
Right, not upon the bid.
At final acceptance.
Oh, yes. I agree. Okay. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It is approved. All right.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number 8. David?
Item 8 is recommend resolution approving amendment number 1 to the contract for architectural services with Hornby, Blatt Architects, MAPS 3 Senior Health and Wellness Center. Number 3, increase of $76,700, project M3-H004. If you recall, last month, this body approved an additional $500,000 to get Wellness 3 up to the same level as 4, since they're being executed at the same time. And ultimately, council approved that also. So with that additional scope, we need to increase the architectural contract. So that's what this does, is compensates them for an additional $500,000 in design.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded that we adopt the resolution as presented. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Excuse me.
Aye.
I had a question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sure.
And it was just that I hope we have taken into consideration the change that we just did to number 2, and that they're taking into consideration the size of the locker room.
Very much. It's very much on our mind.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is approved. Item 9, any new business?
No, sir.
Well, I want to mention this one item of new business. my injury was not related to any MAPS activities, and so I will not be making a workers' compensation claim, even if I were an employee, but instead of a volunteer. Right. Item 10, any subcommittee reports? Zane.
I'd just like to announce that, as far as I know, we're still on tap to have the grand opening for the Draper Lake Trail Saturday morning. I believe it starts at 9 o'clock to 11. And I know that weather's going to be an issue, but I don't know that we can hold it off now. So we might not have very many people there, but I guess we're going to proceed with the ribbon cutting.
We will proceed one way or the other.
Right.
It's from 9 to 11, lots of activities. It'll be just outside the marina area there at Lake Draper.
So you're saying rain or shine?
Yes, sir.
Is it okay to wear a hat?
It is. And an umbrella.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other subcommittee reports? If not, then, David, let's go to item 11, your update.
Still doing design on river projects. We talked about senior wellness. Senior Wellness 3 is in design and site has been selected and approved by council. And same thing with Wellness Center 4 is also in design and the site has been selected. We talked about the grand opening for the trail Saturday morning. Convention Center continues. If you've been by there, you'll see that it is starting to get enclosed and real soon will be dried in. It's looking beautiful. The glass is about half to 3/4 of the way down on the front. It really is a spectacular building. Fairgrounds projects, as you approved today, will begin soon. And then the park, we had an incredible opening last month of the park. I think most of you were there, and I think most of the citizens were there too. That was just a great event, and I urge everybody watching, if you haven't been to the park, it's not too late to still enjoy it before the winter gets here. But there are going to be some winter activities in there also. So it is a year-round thing. Chairwoman Lowe asked me to mention the presentation that was given yesterday by the foundation talking about the Union Station remodel and funds needed for that. And so in the next month or two, be coming to this body to show you the need and expectations of Union Station and the additional funds that they're hoping to get for that. So that is coming. And then Streetcar, we've got projects out for bid for some additional little tweaks here so we can get rid of the netting that's on the rails, on the stops, and some of those things. So still a lot of things going on.
Do you anticipate the ask for the Union Station will exceed the money that we've discussed?
Previously in the plan, yes, it was discussed that it is more than the $10 million allocated preliminarily by this body.
Okay. Any other questions for David about any of that? Okay. That brings us then to the item number 12. Any comments by the board?
I just wanted to comment. My wife and son and I were at Hello Dolly at the Civic Center on Sunday, and afterwards, probably 3:30 Sunday afternoon, we just drove around Scissortail Park. The place was swarming with people. It was a beautiful day. It was a great day to be outside, but people are utilizing the park and taking advantage of this wonderful project that we have. So people sitting on the hill, and they're walking the trails, and there were people out in the paddle boats paddling around. There were a lot of ducks sitting on the water, too. So everybody is enjoying the park.
Yeah, Bob, I was at that same production, ironically enough, and we actually went home and took our dogs to the dog park for a second time, and it's just wonderful. The two areas for the small dogs and large dogs. It's just a really, really cute, cool feature.
Mark?
Nothing today other than I wish I would have brought my umbrella.
Well, I want to commend David and the staff and all those associated with the opening of the park. I think it's gotten rave reviews from all concerned, and we know that the contractor and staff and volunteers really had to turn to make that happen. It was, we had had a lot of rain before that, and people had to work extraordinary hours to be able to have that as scheduled, and a lot of schedules had to be met. And I can't say enough, David, about what a great job you guys did in making that all, getting it organized and making it happen. It was a tremendous celebration, not only of the park, but I think of MAPS 3 generally. And so a great night for all concerned, but a lot of work went into it, and we really appreciate it. Anyone else? All right. Any staff members have any comments today? This is also the time when any citizens that are here that would like to be heard are welcome to come forward. Any citizens? If not, Zane moved that we adjourn, and Bob seconded the motion. Is there further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. We're adjourned. I would say record time. Record time.